fellow Falcoholics. What is up? Welcome to the Falcoholic Lives Falcons vs. Saints Week 1 postgame show. Sorry, I look like I'm living in a world of darkness here. Hold on a second. That's better. What's up, guys? Welcome in. You guys know what happened. The Falcons had a very on-brand finish to their Week 1 game against the Saints, losing after accumulating a 16-point lead, giving up 17 points in the fourth quarter en route to a final field goal for the Saints that put them up 20-20, 27-26, just like I had predicted. We're also going to be joined by Non-Ekic here. One second. Hey, Adnan, how we doing?
Are we live?
Oh, hold on. Try again. I think I can't hear you.
Kevin? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you now. Yeah.
Kevin?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hold on. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I can hear you now. Yeah. All right. What about now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Good. Okay. We're all good here. We're not fumbling quite as badly as the Saints, folks, as we get in here. Well, I guess I should say not fumbling as badly as Marcus Mariota. But Adnan, you've seen it. I just started talking about it. I'm sure you have a lot of takes as well as I do. To me, I just want to start with the second I saw Matt Dickerson, Timmy Horn, and Quentin Bell out there to start that series to open the fourth quarter, I knew they were going to lose the game. I was like, wow. Like, the absolute gall to put in your second string defensive line entirely with like 13 minutes left in the game and go full prevent defense. That was when I knew it was over.
When you were up by 2 fucking possessions.
Yeah, just 2 possessions. Yeah.
You know, I get it. Like, sure, during the Super Bowl when it was like a 4-possession game, then, maybe, and it's the fourth quarter. That's a 2-possession game. Like, how do you have such audacity right now as a franchise that's been in the mud for the past 5 years to be trying to pull some shit like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. Like, it's like, I cannot believe that was the decision. It doesn't make any sense, like, on any level. Like, this is an ultra important game for the fans, for everyone, and you're, like, saving your starting defensive line for what? So that they can blow it later, like, when you've given up 2 touchdowns in, like, 3 minutes? Like it doesn't make sense on any level. That, to me, it signals that the mindset of, we talked about this so many times last year. I hate that we have to talk about it again. Right off the bat, this coaching staff plays not to lose at the end of games. They do not play to win. And the second they start to get in that mindset, the players can feel it too. And the second you start playing not to lose, more often than not, you're going to lose. So, unfortunately, here we are again. 16-point blown lead in the fourth quarter, playing not to lose, and a couple of mistakes, and that's it. You're 0-1 once again.
You're 0-1, and not only did they play not to lose, but it was a disgusting display from the coaching staff. Like, sure, we can talk about, like, Mariota had his mistakes. He didn't slide down when the Falcons were in the red zone and going for the kill shot, and he fumbles the ball. Sure, he didn't get that first down. I don't put this on the shoulders of Marcus Mariota. Like, at the very least, he was out there trying to finish the game off. He was trying to get some extra yardage. I don't blame him for not getting that last yard when it was second down and he was going for the first. But it's just, I don't know, man. Like, how do you go out there as a coaching staff and just straight up play prevent defense over and over again when they're completely slicing you up and dicing you up? I remember Michael Walker had that incredible play, I think, when it was only an 8-point game.
Yeah.
Where he snuffed out the Alvin Kamara screen pass, and they forced a loss of 10 on that play. A loss of 10, that's better than a sack. It's like a huge sack.
Mm-hmm.
So they have it second down and 20, and then your very next play is just a soft zone defense. It was so cowardly. Like, Dean Pease We're praising Dean Pease for talking all that shit, in the press conferences, and he's gonna, he's this fiery, like old school coach that's gonna set these boys straight. And he's in the press conference talking about how he's sick of being outside the top 20 for the last like 15 years and how that shit's gonna change under his watch. Prove it, like prove that shit. All he's done is talk. All he's done has been talk the entire time when he's been here. All he's been able to do has been, talk a big game, and then when push comes to shove, it's prevent fucking defense. It's the same shit as when Dan Quinn was the head coach. It's the same shit like when Mike Smith was the head coach. How has this franchise in general just made no progress over the past, 13, 14 years, where we just don't know how to step on their throats? We don't know how to go for the kill. And, I would much rather had it just backfired. Had you done it and it backfired, then at the very least, it's like, all right, at the very least, we went for it. But also, Arthur Smith, it's 4th down and 1, and your defense is getting sliced and diced. And why aren't you going for it? It's
Yeah, if
fourth.
you don't get it, like you're gonna lose either way. You're
Yeah,
gonna lose
like
either way. So
and then to make things worse, when we do punt it away, and it was a hell of a punt by Pinion.
mhm.
Great job by him. Uh, then you come back out there and you still keep running that soft bitch ass zone. I don't get it. I don't get how you can keep watching this shit fail over and over again, and you keep dialing that same shit up over and over again. You know who went for it on 4th and 1? The Eagles. It was the
Yeah.
same situation. It was 4th down and 1 on where was it? It was against the Lions. They had it on Detroit's 40, and instead of punting the ball away, they go for it with their scrambling quarterback. And Marcus Mariota knows how to run the ball. They go for it, and they got it, and they win the game. If the Falcons go for it on 4th and 1, they get pushed back. The offensive line does, and they lose the game. Then I would be sitting here saying, all right, at least Arthur Smith had the balls to go out there and try to win the game instead of playing not to lose. But Arthur Smith is out there talking shit to the media after the game. Dean Pease is going to be talking shit, in the press conferences. I'm so sick of these paper fucking tigers, man. I'm so sick of these head coaches that are out there just talking all this shit and talking such a big game. And I feel like we're more at fault as fans for buying into that bullshit, because they haven't shown it at all in the games and when the situations presented themselves. Like, and the thing is, they kept getting bailed out. The Saints tried to do that shitty ass 2-point conversion. I don't know what that play call was. And the Falcons come away with it up by 2 points. Then the Saints shoot themselves in the foot with that flag for holding on that deep shot by Marcus Mariota. Falcons get an automatic 1st down, and then the Falcons once again can't take advantage. And then even at the very end, Marshawn Lattimore, almost gave Younghoe Koo a chance for a 63-yard field goal. And even had he nailed that field goal, this coaching staff would not have deserved that win. That just would have been divine heroic intervention. And I'm just so fucking sick of it, man. Like, this coaching staff, they've lost all their goodwill. I'm not saying fire anyone, but I'm saying that some shit has to change at the very least. The players went out there and they gave their effort. And sure, there were some mistakes, but you can't expect just a mistake-free football game the entire time. But the coaching staff let them down. I feel like the coaching staff should apologize to this roster after this game, because this loss is firmly on them. This is on their asses. I'm so fucking sick of it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything else to say about that. It's the same cowardice that we saw last year. We always knew it was going to come back like around. The Falcons were insanely lucky in 1-score games last year. That luck's not going to hold up forever. And once again, we're seeing it already. Like, you lose a 1-point game, you're already going to be worse off than you were last year in 1-score games. And I just don't understand why you're playing so conservatively when you're the underdog. No one's expecting you to come in and win this game. if you're playing with house money, like
And you're
go
playing
out
at
there and
home
win the
too.
game.
You're
Yes,
playing
like
in front of a packed fucking stadium, and I promise you that stadium's not going to be packed after this game. It's going to go back to the same old, like, half empty arena. And shout out to the fans that show up. You guys are the real ones. You guys are great. But I don't blame anyone who chooses not to pay season tickets for this bullshit.
yeah. I mean, I no one's gonna show up if this is what they're showing up to see. Like you can't even enjoy the first 3 quarters, which were magnificent. Um, I don't want to take anything away from the players.
He's talking so much shit on Twitter too, man. Like
Yeah,
I don't know why I keep like backing this. I don't know why I keep trusting this team to back up my shit talk, man. Like I don't know why I haven't learned at this point.
yeah. I don't talk shit anymore just because I just don't have the time for it. I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't have the time for it anymore. But, um, it's just so predictable. I mean, I think I tweeted out like 20 minutes before they blew the lead, like, all right, if they don't run out the clock here or get a field goal, they're gonna lose this game 27-26 on a last-second field goal by the Saints. Like this was like 20 minutes before this happened. It's so predictable. It's the same thing they do every time. And once
They
again, here
deserve
we
it.
are. Yeah.
They deserve this loss, man. You were up by 16. You had the one. You couldn't finish some of those plays. I think there was only the Cordero Patterson touchdown. Other
Yeah.
than that, they just were not like completing these drives.
No, they were not as good in the red zone as they should have been.
That's neither here nor there. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Young Wei Koo was brilliant, and I think that had he not been blocked, I think that field goal would have legitimately gone in. Just
It had a
looking at
chance.
the
Yeah.
starting trajectory of that field goal, and I don't blame him for getting that field goal blocked either, because he had to drive it low,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's the only
you're
way. Yeah.
63 yards, man. Like what can you
Yeah.
do?
You have to get the distance. Like there's no other way to do it. Like the angle just doesn't work if you kick it any higher than that. It just won't have the distance unless maybe you're Justin Tucker or something. But like it just that field goal is almost impossible. The only way to do it is to kick it low like that, and the blocking didn't hold up. So that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
And someone in the chat like said it perfectly. This is a coward culture. Like this is the entire culture of the Atlanta Falcons is that of fucking cowards at this point. Like it has been forever. And we talked about the culture. We talked about just how important it was to try and change the culture, and to bring in the coaching staff to try and change the culture. And we want to move away from the Super Bowl, right? We want to move away from the Dan Quinn era where the team was just blowing leads left and right. And even that Super Bowl season, man, like that team could have blown so many more leads. And I honestly wish they would have. Like I wish they would have blown that lead in week 17 against the Saints in that game, because at least maybe that would have like shaken them. Maybe they could have learned, and maybe it wouldn't have happened later on. But I doubt that, to be honest. Like this team, in general, I don't know how you can go from regime to regime to regime, and it's the same old shit over and over again. Like how is there not like a single coach out there who just isn't a coward out there? Like
Yeah. I mean,
like
it's like every single Falcons fan in existence is uncomfortable, but the fucking coaching staff isn't uncomfortable. They're like, oh, let's put in the reserve defensive line and play prevent with 13 minutes left in the game. Like, we're totally fine. Like, there's no excuse for that. Like, you've done this so many times. You've seen the team do this so many times. Like, why are you still doing this? Like, how can you have not learned anything in your years here? You know the culture of this team. You know what's happened. Like, play with a little goddamn aggression for once. So like just if you lose, go out swinging. Don't like fold cowardly and then depend on your defense once again to try to make a late stop. Like do what you got to do. Like freaking just I mean and like the Falcons should have easily won this game. Like don't get me wrong. Like 2 turnovers, that crushing Mariota fumble. It doesn't take away anything from Mariota's game. I thought overall he played a good game.
Had a good game
like
overall.
this is a very good Saints defense that the Falcons made look pretty silly, especially up front. If Mariota doesn't fumble that snap, they probably win the game. So like again, like I'm not trying to throw like it's never about just one play. It's easy to distill things to one play. I tend to pin this more on the coaching staff's overall decision making to play this like it was wrapped up with 13 minutes to go. Like there's no excuse for that. Like this This is not a team where you can just coast and expect things to go right. It hasn't ever been able to work here. Like, this team is known for blowing leads, and you know that it is, and you still go do the exact same thing that leads to blown leads. Like, the secondary ain't good enough to play prevent. This pass rush ain't good enough to play prevent. You're crushing them with your pressure, with your in-your-face style of defense. You basically shut down their offense for the entire game, and you decide to completely abandon your entire game plan with almost an entire quarter to go. And then you lose. Like, you lose the game. So I hope this is the wake-up call they needed to be like, okay, we're done, like, with this old way of thinking. I just don't believe it. I'm not going to believe it until I see it.
Not a chance. Not a fucking chance. Because that game against Washington, where almost the exact same scenario happened last year, where J.D. McKissick had that touchdown on the swing pass against Deion Jones, where, they also had a huge lead. That's where it should have been, that wake-up call. But if they still haven't learned from this at this point, like, they're not going to. Like, I don't give them I don't give them that much credit. Like, I don't think this was completely a coaching thing. And, it's just within their nature and within their culture that, they're going to fucking blow it, because this franchise has just kept blowing it over and over again. Like,
enjoy blowing it on. Yeah.
Since its inception, like, this isn't just like a now thing. This isn't just like the past few years. Like, this goes back to obviously the Super Bowl. This goes back to the 49ers game where they blew the 17-0 lead in the NFC Championship game. This goes back to the Giants 2-point game where where the defense scored 2 points. This goes back to to fucking Michael Vick going to jail when he was supposed to be the next big thing for the Falcons. It goes back to 1980 and the fucking, like, the no snap where they blew it against the Cowboys. Like, this entire franchise, I don't believe in curses, but holy shit, if I ever was to, like, it would be that this franchise is just completely snake bitten. Like, from the very beginning of its existence. I don't know who this team pissed off so much, but it's just a comedic thing at this point.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to say. Specifics, like, I'm going to break down the game, obviously, but I think, honestly, when you break down this game and you break down the film, everything up until that series where they put in the reserve defensive line, I think they played exactly right. That's the only thing that gives me hope, is that they executed everything up until that point exactly how I would have drawn it up. They were able to run the ball. They were able to, keep it from being long down in distance for Mariota. When they needed to throw, they were effective. They were efficient. They shut down the Saints run game, which I think was one of the keys to the game that Alan Stirk and I discussed on the game preview. They were doing everything right. They were shutting down the Saints team. And then the mindset changed and everything changed. The play of the offense changed. The play of the defense changed. Like, the players know when things change. Like, it's like they completely changed their ethos. They're like, okay, we're going out here, we're headhunting, we're going to win this game. And then it's like, all right, guys, just don't blow it. And the second you start thinking that, the second you internalize that, I'm not going to blow this, you're going to blow it. Like, that's not a healthy mindset. That's a loser mindset. Like, I'm not going to lose this game, as opposed to I'm going to win this game. It's a small thing. It's a small mental difference there, but that mindset, the coaches that go out there, play aggressively, and are trying to win on every single play, which we saw in the first half. They went and got that field goal with seconds remaining in the first half. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, on the other side of the coin, like, they showed in this very game, they could have that mindset. They could go say, okay, we got 23 seconds and some timeouts. Let's try to get some points. Why not? Like, let's try to win. And they did. And then they completely reversed course against a superior opponent late in the fourth quarter, where they constantly had issues holding on to leads. Like, I don't know if they were trying to exercise their demons by being like, okay, we're different. Like, we can do this year. Like, no, you're done. You're done with that. If I see that shit again, like, how many, like, what's that, the Simpsons meme or whatever, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? And I'm not trying to be ageist, against ZPs or anything.
That's the SpongeBob. That's a
SpongeBob. Yeah.
We at the Falcoholic are cultured. These are top tier,
high quality memes.
Yeah, high quality pop culture references, guys.
Yeah. Now, it's not an ageist thing. It's just a great meme, and Dean Pease happens to be old. Doesn't have anything to do with his coaching ability. Like, Dean Pease showed he could call a great game. He called a great game all the way up until the end of this fucking game. Like,
All
it
the way
was a
up and
great game. So you got to finish, though. You got to play all four fucking quarters. You can't just play
it's
three
just
quarters.
it's just so hypocritical though. Like,
Yeah.
put your money where your mouth is. Honestly, like had the Falcons gone out there and just played so aggressively on defense and it backfired on them, it bit them in the ass, we would be pissed off, like still sure. But at the very least, you went down swinging. If you're gonna lose, at the very least, like, if you're gonna strike out, go down swinging. Nobody likes a backwards K. Nobody likes you just letting the Saints dictate whatever they wanted after they were at your mercy. Like, we had the Saints on their fucking knees, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was so nice to see. And the thing is, you were only up by 2 possessions, and you
Yes.
were
If it's
out
three
there.
possessions, okay, you can have a conversation. And
Yeah,
then it's like, okay,
well,
once it gets
sure,
back to two,
sure. If
then
it's
you go
three
back to your normal
possessions,
defense.
if
But it
it's three
wasn't.
possessions, less than 10 minutes in the fourth quarter, and you go soft zone, I understand. It's a 2 possession game, and it turned into a 3 possession game actually because they fucked up on the 2 point conversion.
Yeah.
Like, they fuck and they gave you opportunity after the Saints tried to hand you this game on a silver platter at the end of the game, and the coaching staff said no, like, we're not going to take it.
Yeah.
Oh my, and it's both of them, man. It was
Yeah.
Dean Pease and Arthur Smith both. Like, they both coached like cowards out there, and oh my god, well, like, I don't talk all the shit you want about the media, man. The media is right. Like, Arthur Smith is
Like,
saying, "Oh,
yeah.
the media was writing our obituary back in March." Well, no fucking shit, they were. Like, look at the
Why wouldn't
performance
they?
last year.
Yeah.
Like, sure, we had 7 wins. We had 7 very fake wins. If you look at the point differential last year, and if you look at the schedule, you haven't proven shit at this point, man. Like, you as a head coach in the NFL, I like Arthur Smith. I think he's a gifted play caller, but he has not done shit in the NFL as a head coach.
Yes. Got to
It's
prove it. Yep.
yeah, it's mind-boggling to me how he's going out there acting like Bill Belichick. Like, when Bill Belichick does that, like, even to this day, it's fine. Bill Belichick is a 5-time Super Bowl champion, the greatest head coach of all time. He can talk all the shit he wants, yeah, to the media, but what are you pretending to be out here?
Yeah. It's like you're acting like you've done something in the NFL thus far. Like, I get that the Titans were good under your tutelage, but like the Falcons ain't been good under your tutelage. Like,
That was my
this was like
favorite.
the worst 7-10 team of all time. So like that's not like a great accomplishment. I mean, like, it wasn't a disaster last year, but it wasn't an accomplishment. And it's like, you want the media to shut up. Like, do something about it. Don't tell them to shut up. Like, they're just gonna keep writing stories about you until you change the narrative. Like, the narrative, despite what a lot of coaches maybe think, the narrative isn't made by the media. It's made by the team. The team creates the narrative by their actions, by what they do. And sure, the media helps craft the
The
narrative,
media is
but
literally just doing its job. Like,
yes,
the
like,
media is
you're making
like,
it way too fucking easy.
yeah, like these guys, like, I get Arthur Smith is like, and DNPs, they're pissed off at D-Led, they're pissed off at Schultz, that they're having these press conferences. Like, these guys are, I love them or hate them. Like, and a lot of, they don't have like a shit ton of fans out there, but these are still guys that are just out there, making their own living. Like, they're doing their own jobs, and it is their job to ask these questions. It is their job to make these reports. And like, like, what do you, if you want, like you just said, if you want them to shut up, go out there and fucking win. Like, these press conferences aren't cute when you're out there blowing 2 possession leads to the Saints in the fourth quarter. Like, Dan Quinn's shtick of, like, his like his full, like, energy, his catchphrases, like, that shit was all super cute, and like, and it was like adorable when we're going to the Super Bowl and when we're winning these games. And so would Dean Pease's, like, press conferences be. But the second that you start losing the game, the second that you stop doing your job as a head coach, and your number one job isn't to be bickering with the media, it's to win football games. The second that stops happening, then this shit stops getting cute.
Yeah, exactly. And we have footage now of Arthur Smith, again being like, "Oh yeah, you buried us in May, bury us again. We don't care. We'll get back to work." Like, admit you fucked up. Like, it's not that hard. Like, yes, you screwed up. Like, it
I'll,
happens.
I'll get a fucking shovel at this point.
Like like you would get so much less hate if you just admitted that you screwed up. Like, that's what I don't get it. Like, everybody screws up. Media screws up, coaches screw up, you make mistakes, whatever. But like, if you don't admit that you screwed up, like, how are we supposed to take you seriously? Like, we know you screwed up. You pretending that you didn't and just trying to wave it off isn't going to change anything. Like, tell us what you did wrong. Like, that's, you want the fans to understand. Like, tell us, like, hey, we were too conservative. This is what we did wrong. You know, we're going to change our tack in the future. We're going to play this differently going forward. That, you know, that's going to make people be like, oh, this guy gets it. Like, they played a great game. They messed up at the end. Okay. Like, he understands they messed up. But no, like, this walk off, like, you're not convincing anyone that you know what the hell you did wrong and that you could fix it.
People will be so much more sympathetic to you and to your cause, and this is just PR 101. If you're just genuine, like you going out there trying to fight fire with like with the media right now isn't going to help you at all. Like, the fan base is fucking pissed right now, and I promise you the fan base isn't pissed at the media for doing their job and for reporting what they are. I promise the fan base isn't pissed at Schultz right now. They're not pissed at Dealad. Like, those guys aren't the reason we lost this game. You're the reason we lost this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, saying we're going to get back to work, it doesn't communicate to me that you understand what went wrong. Like, I'm not expecting perfection from this team or our coaching staff. For God's sakes, we were predicting like 5, 6, 7 wins. Like, most of us weren't even, you know, I tried to kiss of death the Saints. I was hoping the Falcons would find a way to win this, but like, I wasn't necessarily expecting them to like win in glorious fashion like they look like they should have done. But like, you need to tell us the truth. Like, what is it you did wrong? How can you fix it? Make us under like, yes, like, make us feel like you understand what went wrong. That's the only way you're gonna fix it. Because if you pretend that you just like got unlucky or something, like, that's not, you can't, like, I can't change your luck. Like, just saying like, oh, we need to have better luck or something, like, oh, we're gonna get back to work, like, that doesn't tell me that you understand on any level what happened and what you're gonna do to fix it. I think that this coaching staff is smart. I think Arthur Smith's a smart guy. I think DMP's a smart guy. They screwed up, and they need to figure out a way to communicate that to the fans and the media, or they're going to keep getting this harsh treatment. Fucking win games. Or at least don't blow leads. Like, if you got beat by the Saints and it was the Falcons driving at the end to try to win, you know, after they had just basically played a great game against the Saints and didn't like, if they hadn't blown that lead, I think we'd all be pretty happy with them losing as much as you can be with a loss. 27-26 to a team they were predicted to lose to by almost a touchdown. Very few people were in on the Falcons at all. Like, losing by 1 point.
Because it's the fucking Saints, man.
Well, yes. I mean, I get that aspect of it, but from like a neutral observer standpoint, not a Falcons fan standpoint. Because, of course, we all expect the Falcons to shit on the Saints. Anything less is not acceptable. But from a neutral observer standpoint, the Falcons losing by 1 point to the Saints, not a bad result. They outperformed their projection by 4.5 points, you know, whatever. Blowing a lead in a game that you dominated and should have won handily, that is the problem. Like, that is why people are pissed. Like, it doesn't matter if you crush it for 3 quarters, if you're gonna shit the bed to such an extent in the fourth quarter that you wipe out every single thing that you did right up until that point. And that's exactly what happened. So all right, let me get to some of these donations. Thank you guys so much. We got Jason Gaines with the $2. He says, is Dan Quinn still coaching back there? That prevent soft vanilla zone coverage is what Quinn would do and what BVG, Brian Van Gorder, oh man, the Van Gorder reference, would do under Mike Smith. Mm-hmm. Also, AJ Terrell giving up 2 touchdowns to Slant Boy is unacceptable. I mean, Terrell had good coverage. Like, he had good coverage, just great plays. So, like, I don't, like, it's not like Terrell was like nowhere in the picture and he was just getting dominated. Like, honestly, like, Thomas made great plays on both those touchdowns. Obviously, you'd like to see Terrell break those up, but I don't really think it's his fault in any way, to be honest with you. Like, Terrell's going to get targeted, like, especially when he's covering top receivers. And, you know, obviously you'd like him to break that pass up, but I'm not going to throw him under the bus for what was just a really terrific catch by Thomas on that last touchdown. Let's see. We got Ray Moon with the $10. Thanks so much, Ray. He says, Matty threw for 300 plus today. I miss him. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for Matt Ryan. They did come back. I think they ended up tying the Texans, which is pretty embarrassing in its own right. But I mean, Ryan had to fight back from what it was 20-3 at one point, and they ended up tying it. So vintage Matt Ryan game there with the Colts.
Yeah, it was a good result for them. The Texans kind of blew it a little bit, but what can you do? It is the Texans. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. Like this game just ruined my day. Like
Yeah,
it,
I mean, I'm over it. Like I'm trying. This show is very cathartic. We get to really vent our feelings and get to share them with you guys, which I know you guys appreciate. Um, it's tough to watch, certainly. Let me get to these last two donations before we continue our ranting and raving here. George Costanza with the $5. Thank you, George. He says so I parked my car in downtown Atlanta and left 2 Falcons tickets on the passenger seat. Can you believe it? Some jerk broke my window and left 4 more in there. So, yeah, this is a good one. Good one, George. We go. Okay, one more George joke. Here we go. $5, George. Thank you, man. He says, if I asked Arthur Smith if he had change for $1 and the jerk only gave me 75 cents. Said, what the hell, man? He said Falcons don't have a fourth quarter. But seriously, though, had 4 sacks today. So we've already got 23% of our total from last year in week 1. Yeah, I mean,
the sacks were looking so good. Like
yes.
that's the infuriating part, man. The defense was looking so good. Like they looked so good out there. Like why would you change what's working? Don't reinvent the wheel out there. And the offensive line was looking so good too. Like Cordero Patterson just had all the running room he could want, like over and over again. I was just like watching, and I like saw Cordero Patterson just like have so much space to work with. I don't know. It's just like I don't get it. I don't understand why these coaches just like why their defaults is just cowardice when they're like winning. Like why? Especially sure the first drive, but especially after you saw that it didn't work on the first drive, what are you so afraid of? Like they're gonna march down the field and score a touchdown again if you keep doing this. I'd honestly rather just give up the big play touchdown if that's what it comes down to after you're trying to like be aggressive and stop them. At the very least, you'll have more time on the clock.
Yeah. I mean, like, go out doing what you do. Like, this is not a let's drop like 8 guys in coverage, sit back in soft zone and get pressure with 4 type of team. Like, as nice as it was to see the sacks.
The Bills can do that.
The Bills can get away with that. Yeah.
The Rams all day long on Thursday night. This defense isn't the fucking Bills, man.
And I don't know. Like, I get wanting to go to a little bit more conservative defense, but like, why change what's working? Like, I don't get it. Like, don't outfox yourself. Don't like make a change to help your opponent. Like, make them beat what you're doing. Like, do what you're doing. And if they adjust to something that's beating what you're doing, then you change. But like, don't change for them. Don't help them. Don't give them free completions. Don't make it easy on them. Like, the second you let Jameis Winston get into a rhythm, this game was over. Like, you stopped throwing the kitchen sink at him. You stopped bringing the pressure. He got comfortable. That's it. Game over. Like, this defense is not fucking good enough to be able to hold up against quarterbacks that are dealing. Like, you have to make them uncomfortable. You have to get them off their spot. Like, because you don't have the talent everywhere else to go toe-to-toe with very good offenses. And, like, the Saints offense for 3 quarters was god-awful except for Taysom Hill. You change what you're doing. You go conservative. You stop bringing the pressure. Winston gets hot, and that's it. Like, you're done. Like, the game over. Like, don't do that. Like, don't change what's working for no reason. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's like you're trying to play like 4-dimensional chess or something. It's like, oh well, we think they're gonna adjust, so let's adjust for them. And then keep doing it. Like,
force them to fucking adjust. This is something where this was my favorite part of the Kyle Shanahan like experience here in Atlanta. One thing that Shanahan does better than anyone else in the NFL is when something is going right, you keep doing that shit until the other team proves that they can stop it. Like I still remember that game, and you know what? Even that, like I get it. Like I mentioned Shanahan, and the one time the Falcons should have been more conservative, at least on offense when you're already in field goal range. They were overly aggressive when we were talking about that game. But I remember that game against the fucking 40 when he was the 49ers coach against the Packers, where he had like Raheem Mostert and they were running that zone read offense, or like zone rushing offense in the NFC title game. And Mostert just ran all over the Packers because they kept running the same play over and over and over and over again, and the defense couldn't stop them. I don't know why more coaches don't do that in the NFL, where if something is working, keep doing that shit. Like this isn't you playing Madden and you're being a dick to your friend by running slants over and over again until they can stop it. Like this is the professional level. Go out there and keep doing what's working. Don't like prematurely adjust and like bail the other team out. Like I don't think the Saints would have had any answer. If they had an answer, they would have like come up with it in the first 3 quarters.
Yeah.
Like this is just losing the game in between the shoulders, in between the ears. We just lost this game mentally. And the worst
Yes.
part is we not only like just gave up like the psychological advantage and the team just had so much swagger out there for the first 3 quarters. We gave it away. Like it's not even the Saints going out there and just outgunning us and like taking this from us. This was just the coaching staff giving it away to the Saints on a silver platter.
Yeah, it's sad to see that we're back in the exact same place that we were. I think we saw some good things. Like let's finish on a positive note, like because we've covered it. Like at this point, we've made it clear. Like these guys blew it. They blew the lead. They blew the late game decision making again. But unlike what we saw last year in Week 1, they at least didn't blow the game for the first 3 quarters. Like this team did the right things. I think it looked like they had a good plan going in. It looked like the defense was executing at a high level. The pass rush was doing things. The running game was clicking. This is like one of the best games by a running back against the Saints in like it was like 20 games that they haven't allowed a 100-yard rusher. And this Patterson broke the streak. So like the Falcons were able to run the ball against maybe the NFL's best run defense with like a lot of success, and certainly getting up to a big lead helps in that regard. But like this is a team that regularly shut down the run. I think last year they were the NFL's #1 run defense, lowest yards per carry allowed. Like, so the offensive line, I think, outside of like a holding call or two, pretty much flawless. Pretty much flawless. Yeah. The final snap to Mariota wasn't great. Like that was at least partially the reason he fumbled. But
the O-line was impressive today. Like,
yeah.
did the Saints even have a sack in this game?
No, they didn't allow a sack against a very good pass rush. So yeah. No.
It's just very frustrating. Like,
It
especially
is.
when you think that you had the game won.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a story of the Atlanta Falcons as a franchise. You think you have the game won, and then you just like fuck it up. Like you fuck it up by yourself. It's not even like the other team like forcing like a fuck. This is like an unforced error. This is a double fault in tennis.
Yeah.
Like the Atlanta Falcons are the personification of what a double fault is in tennis. Like just as a football franchise, that they are the double fault.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Week 1. Obviously, there's a long way to go. You hate to already be having this conversation after one game. You hate it a lot. But in reality, like what Arthur Smith said is true. They do still have 16 games to prove to us that they can right the ship, that they can do something to fix these problems. But at this point, we have to see it. Like, you got to prove it. Like, the noise is only going to keep getting louder until you prove it on the field that you've made that you've changed from last year, that you've fixed the issues on this team, that this team really isn't the worst roster in the NFL. Like, you got to be the ones to prove that, because the media is going to keep calling you what you are until you become something different. And right now, this is a team of chokers. It has been since 2018. And I mean, even before that, I guess, maybe going back to the end of 2016, even you could say. We won't talk about that. We've endured enough today. But like, until you prove that you're not a fucking choker anymore, and you're not at the helm of a ship that's just going to crash at the rocks right before you get into port every single time that you have an opportunity, like, people are going to keep calling you that. People are going to keep doing what they're going to keep writing, and they're going to keep burying you until you dig yourself out and demand otherwise with what you do on the field. Like, you asking me to stop writing articles about how you keep blowing it and that you're, a bad football team and it's poor coaching and yada, yada, yada. Like, that's not going to change anything. I'm going to keep saying it until you do something else. Like, I don't want to say this. I don't want to write that article. I would like to write a nice film review on Monday, Tuesday, talking about how this team beat their division rival in great fashion. We're all excited about this team. Like, Arthur, like, I would love to write that article. You fucking took that away from me with your decision making and your mistakes. Just admit it. Like, I'm not calling for your head. I'm not saying that season's over. Yeah, I'm not doing anything like that, but like, this shit has to stop. It's got to stop now, like ASAP, because not everyone's going to have the patience that I do to be understanding of you. The fans are already, they've turned on you after this. It's over. The goodwill is gone. You blow a game like this against your division rival, it's over. Like, pissed off fans.
Yep. The honeymoon period is done at this point. And I'm the same boat as you. I'm not saying, Arthur Smith needs to, calling for his head or like, or saying, oh yeah, the season's over or anything. But yeah, like, just have some damn accountability. Like him, Pease, like all of the coaching stuff. Go out there and admit that you were wrong. Like, go out there, just you would buy so much more goodwill if you just had that kind of if you had that mentality of just like admitting that you should have done better. Like, people are generally like understanding. Like,
yes.
Like,
take responsibility. Yes.
Like, people aren't out here just like looking for faults and looking for your. I mean, some people are, but
maybe some people. Kenny, Island boy, yeah, over here.
But that's very like few and far between. But yeah, just say what you did wrong. Yeah, take your accountability and say, next time, we learned from this. We're gonna do better next time. Then do better next time. But this is exactly why you predicted 6 wins. I predicted 5 wins, and maybe that's even less now because that was 5 wins with us sweeping the Saints this season. Dave was the optimist, the eternal optimist, predicting 7 wins. But like, this is the reason. Like, this team, I don't think that this team is going to make the playoffs. Like, what we've been saying it all off season long. Like, we don't think that this is going to be like a contending team. Like, maybe they will, in a couple of years, maybe after a strong free agency class, and if this draft class really blossoms, then possibly. But like, this is the reason. Like, if you don't want that criticism as a head coach or as a defensive coordinator or whatever, like, you're in the business of getting criticized. And
yeah,
the easiest way to shut the haters up is, win. Like, step on their throats and stomp on them. Well, I'm just like, God, that's so fucking ironic. The one time we had a coach that was really like willing to do that and that really went out of his way to do that, it fucking backfired. Like, the one fucking time, man. And it backfired on the biggest stage.
Yeah. And it has been the defining feature of this team ever since. And now, after multiple offensive coordinators, multiple coaching staffs, the problem's the same. You have to wonder if that mentality isn't coming from the staff, but coming from something else. And it can't be the players anymore either, because all the players from that team are almost all gone, save very few of them. Like, you're not telling me it's like a roster problem either, because this roster is drastically different. I have to wonder if this is bleeding down from the very top, this play not to lose mentality, that it's an artifact from a very dark time. I hope not, but and like, yeah, I mean, people are mentioning in the chat, like, very puzzling why Tyler Algier was not activated for this game. The Falcons had 2 runners active, Avery Williams, like, that's, he's more of a chess piece guy and your returner. It was odd to me to only go with 2 runners. Damian Williams gets hurt immediately. Then you have 1 runner in Cordarrelle Patterson. Like, this would have been the perfect game for Algier to just blast people in the second half. Why the fuck are we not doing this? Like, why did you draft him if you were going to inactivate him? Like, what are you doing? Like, your game script happened exactly the way you wanted, and you couldn't execute it without like making Cordarrelle Patterson run a million times, which, to be fair,
That was
Patterson did a great job. Like, he did a great job, but like, he should have been able to stay fresh instead of having to carry the ball like 15 times, touch the ball constantly, when you should have had someone like Tyler Algier waiting to grind out those late carries and really wear down the Saints defense. And they
He'll
didn't
probably
have
be
that.
active next week because Williams is fighting
Yeah.
for rib injury right now. Go pick Algier up off your waiver wire if you're in a
Yeah.
fantasy football like that if he wasn't already drafted.
Yep, and yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, that's not gonna happen again. Like, Algier is gonna be active now, but again, this was a very, like, why did you keep Jaron Bernhardt as your 6th receiver when your game plan was really clearly built around the run game? Like, if you lose a running back, you've only got 2 active runners. You lose a running back, it's like your game plan's out the window. And I know you have Marcus Mariota to run the ball, but like, that shouldn't be something you rely upon. Like, literally drafted Algier for this exact scenario. Grind it out at the end of a game, finish it off, come in with fresh legs, let Patterson take those high leverage carries, let Algier take the early down stuff. And they just said, no, that's okay. You could be inactive. So I just, that was a big puzzler to me as well. Honestly, I think the play calling as a whole was fine. I think pretty much everything was fine except for the way they handled the defense in the fourth quarter.
If an NFL game was only 3 quarters instead of 4, the Atlanta Falcons
Super Bowl
would be dynasty.
Yeah,
Like,
dynasty. Yeah.
Like this franchise would be the fucking Patriots at this point.
So at least you can say, like, unlike last year to start the season, this team was just a complete train wreck. It was unwatchable, bad football. They were not even competitive. At least this time, they looked like they were a functional football team, and in fact, even a good one against a team that many are predicting to be a playoff caliber team for 3 quarters. So at least we're starting from that instead of they lost and they were just god awful the whole game. So at least we have some positives to talk about. I get to enjoy that Cordarrelle Patterson touchdown run. They can't take Cordarrelle Patterson away, okay? Cordarrelle Patterson is a goddamn legend. He had a great game. Everyone should praise Patterson forever and ever and enjoy. Don't let them screwing it up let you take away that great game by Cordarrelle Patterson with those great runs. He played out of his mind. He did everything he could. So I continue to enjoy those plays. Don't let those get taken away from you. So.
Holy shit! I just wish they would have that cool kick would have gone in, man.
Yeah, that would have been nuts. That my fantasy team would have gone crazy with that 7-point field goal or
not just that. It would have been also the can you imagine what Marshawn Lattimore would have been feeling at that point after that dumbass penalty?
Yep.
Oh my god, man. But that would have been a complete bailout to this coaching staff, man.
Yeah. No, I'm hoping that this is the only harsh lesson we need for this shit to be over. I doubt it.
I completely doubt it.
But if they had won, they wouldn't change anything. So,
you and I both know that they're not learning anything from this. It's not gonna happen. The only thing that I hate at this point is the Saints are probably gonna tie the season series. I'm still gonna pick the Falcons to win because I can't in good conscience pick us to lose against the Saints ever. But it's just we're even gonna lose that. That's all we have at this fucking point.
Just please, keep the draft takes away until week 10 or something, guys. Can we do that at least? No. But guys, we really appreciate everyone hanging out, tuning in. Obviously, we're hoping for better results going forward. I hope that this was cathartic for you in some way. Like I said, I will have a film recap show. We'll see how NFL Plus plays. If it plays nicely, I'll try to have some video clips in that for the video version. There will also be an audio version on the podcast feed. Welcome to everyone who listened to this on the audio feed after the airing. We got a long season to go. You hate that once again we're starting things off with a loss, possibly setting this team up for once again not having a winning record at any point in the season. So it's rough. You hope for better. I hope that this at least help you relax a little bit, and you know that you don't have to face this terrible team alone because we're here for you on the show and at thefalcoholic.com. For those of you looking to support us in those ventures, we do have one more George Costanza tip here, but also you can sign up for our Patreon. It's patreon.com/falcoholiclive. You could get access to all the podcasts if you're a podcast listener in ad-free, high-quality format. Also earlier than the podcast feed most of the time. So if you're interested in that, then I hope you will consider it. Also, thanks to everyone for subscribing. Way too many for me to keep up with. I apologize. Also, thanks to George Costanza for the latest $3 tip. He says, not going to lie, Adnan, I was firing up the burning and getting the coal ready for the hype train after that first half. Then the Falcons came back to reality. I think we should fire Smith and hire Dennis Green because the Falcons are who we thought they were.
I got you, George. But even had we won this game, I would not have gone. I would not
have been
have
very concerning.
gone firing up the hype train. Like I definitely like would not, because maybe had we won today and then like beaten the Rams next week, then I would have allowed the hype train to get cranked up. And speaking of which, the Rams are fucking pissed off right now, man. Like they're pissed off. They're coming off 10 days of rest. The Falcons are traveling cross country after a super emotional loss. It's gonna be a rough one next week.
Yeah,
it's gonna be pretty brutal next week.
Yeah, it's a tough game. Very tough game. We did see the Rams offensive line really struggle against the Bills. Maybe there's a chance the Falcons pass rush, new look, invigorated pass rush, maybe they could cause some problems, but this is another elite passing attack they're going to have to find a way to slow down. And they got absolutely eviscerated by the Saints the second they stopped getting pressure. So,
also, why weren't we using Kyle Pitts more?
Yeah, what the hell? Come on. One catch, 5 targets all in the first half.
That's the best player.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best player on the field. Like, scheme him up. Like, did you see what the Rams were doing with Cooper Kupp on Thursday? Everyone knew that Matthew Stafford was trying to get it to Cooper Kupp, and the Rams kept scheming him open. Like, that's what good coaches do. You get the ball into the hands of your playmakers. Like, that can't happen again. Yeah. Kyle Pitts cannot be held to one catch ever again. Like, it's you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't. You have to get him involved. Like, he's your 4th overall pick. You got to use this guy somehow.
Yeah, like, this team scored 1 touchdown. This team was helpless in the end zone other than 1 drive. Like, scheme up your best player to get the ball. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, it shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah, it shouldn't be this hard.
At least look good,
right? And that's what we're hoping for. Like, if Kyle Pitts is going to get blanketed, which, to be fair, like, he was getting the majority of the defensive attention.
Sure, but so does Cooper Kupp every game.
Right.
So does Justin. I'm watching Justin Jefferson right now. He's just running all over the Packers. You think the Packers aren't blanketing Justin Jefferson out there?
Yeah, I mean they are. You just got to get the ball to your guy. You got to give him a chance at least. So.
You think the Lions weren't like double covering AJ Brown today, who had 150 yards? Like, this is what good teams do. Scheme your guys open.
Yep. You got to figure out a way to make it happen somehow. You can't let that happen again. Like, this is your 4th overall pick. This is your cornerstone piece that you chose over a franchise quarterback. He needs to be treated as such. You have to find a way to involve him in the red zone somehow, because if you can't, you are not worth your salt as an offensive coordinator. Kyle fucking Pitts not getting targeted in the red zone is an atrocity. Like, you have to get him targets. You have to find a way to get him involved down there. If you can't, you're not going to make it. Like, this is, if you got a player that special that you can't get the ball to in the end zone, like, come on. What are you doing?
And I promise I'm not just saying this because I have him in our Patreon.
Not just that. Yeah, there's other reasons.
Yeah, like, that's not the reason. Although that is, like, part of the reason why I'm slightly upset. But, like, legitimately, that's the highest drafted tight end of all time. Like, that's a fucking super weapon at the tight end position. That's someone who legitimately has a chance to take over the mantle as the best tight end in the NFL as soon as this season. And you're using him as what, a fucking decoy? Like, sure, when Shanahan was using Julio as a decoy, fine. Like, sure, because the Falcons offense was still pumping out like 350 yards of
Yeah.
passing offense. Like this team, this group of pass catchers aren't talented enough to, you know, to do that, to just like let Kyle Pitts be taken away. Like
Yeah.
that's your best player. Like I that is the best player on this roster, and you're just letting them just straight take him away, take him like out of the play. That's unacceptable.
Yeah. I agree. So they got to find a way to get that going as soon as possible because you can't let that guy not be a huge factor for you each and every week, or you are admitting that you made a huge mistake with the first big pick of your tenure, which is of course not a good sign for your future here.
Yeah, and,
Um,
and I'm thrilled with what I saw from Drake London. Like
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
was hobbled. He probably wasn't at 100%. Did not get a full practice this week. Almost didn't play. Like I love the very very early returns from Drake London. Like
yeah,
he looked good, and I'm really excited to see him moving forward. I think London can be a very special wide receiver,
yeah,
but you need him to be a special wide receiver in tandem with Kyle Pitts.
yeah,
Like you can't, it just can't be like him by himself with Kyle Pitts just taken out of the play.
yeah. I like go to your guys in the red zone. Like stop trying to outsmart everyone with like these like throwbacks to Ferkser and these little silly plays. Like just throw it to fucking Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and like your big receivers that you brought in. Throw it to the guys that
We have a basketball
yes,
team like of pass catchers. Like go up. I didn't see a single like legitimate like throw up to one of them. Like
yeah,
it was just like it was Arthur Smith trying to get cute, and this just seems. I think I'm convinced that that's an ego thing. Like
yeah,
I'm convinced that that's an ego thing among these like play callers and offensive coordinators where they just think they're the smartest person in the room. Like what? Like just go out there and do what works. Nobody's gonna fault you for doing what's simple. Like go out there. You have your superstar 6'5" tight end. Use him in the red zone. You have your superstar 6'4" top 10 overall draft pick. Use him in the end zone. Scheme something up for him. Run a pick play. Like do something. Like make it easier for him. uh, Line them up. Go out there and line them up straight one on one. Like put them on one side. Put Kyle Pitts on one side of the field. Put everyone else on this side of the field. And if they straight up double cover him the way that the Packers did Julio Jones and the way that Calvin Johnson used to, that should open something up on the other side. But if not, use him and throw it up to him. Like I'm not a fan of the fade route, but God, I wouldn't have minded
pepper
seeing
it
it.
in sometimes.
Yeah, like I'm not saying completely like never use it. Like try it. Like
Yeah,
you're obviously not like it's obviously not happening for you. Like in the red area this game, like throw it up to one of them.
yeah,
Like the Saints cornerbacks aren't tall enough to contend.
yeah. No, I still can't believe we saw prevent coverage with Quentin Bell, Anthony Rush, Timmy Horn, and Matt Dickerson as your pass rushers. Uh, like the it's like, oh, we're gonna put out this like super run stuffing defensive line and play prevent coverage behind it. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what are you doing? That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, what are you playing? Like, what is that? Like, playing deep coverage with a run stuffing defensive line? Like, you're just giving up free plays.
That's
Like,
again, that's just coaching staffs having egos. Like,
yeah,
yeah, the coaching staffs are like the fucking Saiyans in the Dragon Ball universe. It's like their egos are just like up here, and it's to their own detriment.
yeah,
Like they are legitimately just galaxy braining, and I'm not just saying that for Arthur Smith. The majority of play callers in the NFL are just galaxy braining it out there. Like
yeah.
do what's simple.
Just
Like
keep it simple. Yep.
yeah, these guys are fucking Gohan Super Saiyan 2 kicking Cell's ass and just like they start toying with him. And then it fucking like blows up in their face.
Yep. So you gotta learn quick, because this fan base has already turned. Like they're turned
Okay, they
right
are.
now. It's done. The turn has happened. 1 week, they're pissed. So you better get back on the horse, Arthur Smith and company, because it's gonna be a real long season if you don't get this going. Like if you don't beat this, like no one's really expecting you to upset the Rams, but if you lose to the Seahawks in week 3, who probably are going to be the worst team,
That's draft
like
season. At that
you're
point,
getting your head called for after 3 weeks, which of course is absurd, but
yeah,
like it's
no,
gonna happen. So
for the record, I don't care if this team goes 1-16. Like Arthur Smith, I don't think should
no,
lose
I,
the
I,
job this season.
yeah,
Just given what his roster is, next year is going to be like the year where we can finally properly evaluate this coaching staff. It'll be 3 years. Like they'll have their players in there. The Falcons are just now cleaning up Thomas Dimitrov's cap mess.
yep,
Like the Falcons this offseason, your three most expensive players this offseason from a cap hit standpoint are Matt Ryan, $40 million cap hit, Deion Jones, $20 million cap hit, who's on IR, but who's maybe even healthy, but the team just doesn't want to play him, and Julio Jones, $15 million cap hit. Like that's, if my math here is correct, that's what, 55 $75 million in just like wasted cap space. Like this team, we can't fully evaluate this team. Like yes, AMTZ, like we can evaluate a 26-10 lead. You're right, we can evaluate situational play calling and it's shit.
yeah.
But I'm just saying overall, from an overall standpoint, like please don't call for Arthur Smith's side this year is just what I'm saying. Like
You're just wasting your time. I mean,
yeah,
if you're doing it just to make yourself feel better, that's fine, but don't
yeah,
really expect it.
like
Yeah.
that's fair. But
Yeah.
Fontenot and Smith are not, they can't be properly evaluated until next season. Now, if we're seeing the same shit next season, then that may be a different story. But
Yeah.
we still have to exercise some patience. Like
Yeah.
despite our anger, there was still a lot of good to take from this game. It just doesn't feel like it because of
Yeah.
how bad they looked. Because
how
bad
it ended.
they
Yeah.
looked in the fourth quarter. I mean,
Yeah, all right. Gary Stafford with the $10. Just gonna get through a couple more of these guys before we wrap up. Says, would sports analysis say to go for it on 4th and 1 at the end of the game? Just go by those decision trees if you can't make the call on your own. I believe yes that it would have said to go for it. I don't think it would have been a massive favor, but yes, I do think it
I think 4th down and 1. I think analytically, the play right there is to go for it. Now, of course, I'm not saying that that's the right play. Like if the Falcons defense was pitching a shutout and it's like a 3-0 game, don't go for it, punt it away. But just based on how bad the defense looked, like overall,
they were gassed. Yeah,
the defense was gassed and they were running the prevent zone. Just based on that, we should have gone for it. It's one of those where you have to mix analytics with your instincts, and I think in that situation, the correct play is to go for it, especially because that was was that in New Orleans territory?
I
Like
think
that
it was
on
slightly on their side of the field. Yeah.
that was on the Saints 42-yard line. Like you're in your
Oh yeah, definitely you go for it. Yeah.
like sure, maybe there's a conversation if you're on your own 15.
Right, of course.
But even then, like some coaches would go for it in that situation.
Yep. Yeah, you go for it there. I as a fan, but also as someone who likes to think of themselves as someone who wants to put themselves in the shoes of these guys to get an idea of what they're doing. Like 99% of the time, I would rather end the game with the ball. Like I want to have a chance to end the game with the ball, other than if the choice is giving the ball back to my opponent or having a chance to win it with one play that I only need to pick up 2 yards on. I'm going for the 2-yard play most of the time, especially if we're on their side of the field, because I mean, all of the reasons Adnan said, like situationally, the defense hadn't stopped the Saints for the entire quarter. The Falcons were close. They've been running the ball well. It's a good down and distance. It's on their side of the field. You end the game with a first down. You could just kneel it out. You go for that. You go for it every time, in my opinion. And like if you don't get it, it wouldn't have mattered, as you can see, because you were going to give up the field goal anyway. At least now you have the chance to end it without having to throw your defense under the bus and let them go out there and flail around some more. Like, go out swinging or don't. Like it. I just hate the just giving it right back to your opponent. And then of course they got the penalty on the kick too, so it was even worse. So
The Saints tried to give this win to the Falcons.
they
Like
did.
they tried it. Like just take it. They went for it on that terrible 2-point conversion. Like I just talked about it. The holding, and you heard Jonathan Vilma's bitch ass. The oh no, like clearly I don't want to hear Jonathan Vilma calling Saints Falcons games. Like, well, he's clearly rooting for the fucking Saints.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Arthur Smith's getting absolutely roasted for that late game, fourth down call. All the analytics people are basically piling on, saying this is like one of the worst fourth down calls that they've seen. So
Yeah, like you have to go for it. It's 4th and 1. Like, sure, you didn't get it on the snap, but I think that's even more reason to go for it because you didn't even get a proper playoff.
yeah, it's yeah, I agree.
And I'm not just saying this in hindsight. Like I tweeted out at the time. I said, "All right, like we have to go for this. Like let's go for it."
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I said. Like, if the Falcons punt this ball back to the Saints without getting any points, they're going to lose on a field goal. That's exactly what happened. It's so, like, it's not like it took any skill or knowledge to be able to predict that. It's just obvious because this is what this team does. Anyone could see what was going to happen. So, and there we are. So, George stands with one final donation. He's with the $3. George, he says, "At my funeral, I'm going to insist that the Falcons are my pallbearers so they can let me down one final time." Thank you, George, for that.
Did you get to that $10 one too? Or?
I did. That was the one about 4th and 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
Good question.
I got too into it. I'm just trying to make sure that every donation is accounted for.
Of course, yes. I scroll back through to make sure, but I think we're good. Yeah, guys, we really do appreciate everyone. Thank you. Adnan, he is at Say Which Way on the Twitter. Adnan, anything you would like to say before we sign off?
I fucking hate this team. Like I fucking hate this team, man.
Already, yeah. It's hate week, but not for the right reasons.
It's hate season for the rest of the year.
Hate season. Yep.
I hate this team.
Yeah. Oof, rough. Yeah, guys, I'm Kevin Knight, Falcoholic Kevin. Like I said, I'll have our first film review of the season that should come out on Tuesday at some point, so look for that. Hopefully NFL Plus will cooperate, but if it doesn't, you'll still get a show. Just might not have as many good clips for you. Yeah, it's just a really rough start to the season, very disappointing, but we'll hope they can get it together for all of our sakes and theirs.
I also just feel so bad for the fans.
Yeah.
Like that were at the Bends and who were like, talking their shit. Like just have their back one time, Falcons. Just have their back.
Yeah. Just do something. Don't screw it up. So.
I'm already wearing my Hawks gear. Like I'm wearing my Atlanta Hawks playoff shirt.
Already, yep. Because the Falcons aren't going to be in the play.
No, the Falcons are not going to be in the fucking playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. So you're already moved on to the Hawks.
The Falcons are not going to be in the playoffs. Like the Hawks will be in the playoffs. The Braves will definitely be in the playoffs. Like the Braves look good.
Mm-hmm.
Not right now because they're losing at the moment. God, what a bad Sunday.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back. I'll be back early in the week. Then we'll be back on Wednesday night for our usual show at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll hope for better things in the future, guys. But until then, thank you all once again for watching, for myself and for Adnan. We will see you next time here on the Falcoholic Live. Have a great night, folks.
Yes.